Because what's being embedded in your children right now, many of us are not going to like. For instance, the Los Angeles thing, Unified School District there.
Oh, my gosh.
What they're doing they're using a state grant right now to train teenagers to promote this president's health care system to family members.
Wow.
You believe that? They announced grants of $37 million to promote the nationally unpopular law.
Hitler Youth. I'm sorry.
The district
But what is the difference? Hang on just a second. What is the difference? They are indoctrinating our kids. Then they are enlisting our kids to go in and tell our families what's right and wrong, to tell mom and dad what's right and wrong because the government is teaching it to them in schools.
Well, the difference would obviously be the topic. One is a healthcare law we don't like. The other one was killing the
Excuse
Jews,
me.
but
No, it did not start there.
No, you're right.
It did not start there.
It's true.
That's right.
It's true.
Don't you jump to the end of the story.
No, and I'm not saying that. It's just that's obviously the difference. I mean, that's when
at the end, yes.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, no. It was all about health and sports and good, wholesome activities.
Chamberlain went to Germany and studied it and hung out with them and loved it. He loved the program.
Chamberlain said, the Hitler Youth, that's the new model.
Yeah.
That's going to, and it did, that's going to change Europe. And it did.
It's unlikely if they stayed focused on health that would have such a nasty connotation to it, I would say.
No, but do you think
right,
these guys are going to concentrate on health?
Look
at what they're doing.
Oh, and it's not about health with these guys either.
Right.
It's about giant government programs. And, and that's the issue is that you don't screw with that.
And
you don't go to the kids to sell policy.
Here is the problem. And it's the same problem, and it happens this way every time. Once you say there is no individual right, that it is all about the collective, once you make that leap and teach your children that it is the collective, not the individual, then you can say, we've tried teaching them, we've tried nudging them, we've tried everything, but they are standing in the way of the collective, and something has to be done. And that's what happened with the Jews. You had to build the case that it was these guys that stood in the way. It was capitalist. And I'm telling you, capitalists, Christians, constitutionalists.
Look out.
Look out. You are the target of the future. And you're already seeing it. You're seeing it with the IRS. And nobody's doing anything. And we have an opportunity. I warn you, in the strongest of terms, I've studied this. The reason why Dietrich Bonhoeffer failed is because the people went dark inside. They stopped caring about their neighbor. There's no way you could round up 6 million Jews. The total is not just Jews. It's homosexuals. It's anybody. 11 million. You can't just make 11 million of your neighbors in a country the size of Germany. You can't make just 11 million people just disappear without somebody saying, where exactly did they go? Where did they go? What are you doing to them? Can I go see that with my own eyes? I'd like to see all of this. You can't do it unless you're indifferent. You're taught, we'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. Don't question authority. Who are you to question authority? And then when somebody stands up and says, guys, this is wrong, and you know it's wrong, we have to stand up. The reason why Bonhoeffer failed is because the Western attitude had died already. And that Western attitude is love thy neighbor as thyself.
And we're not to the Germany stage, obviously, yet.
No.
But the propaganda is there, and the
seeds are there, and the structure is being built.
LA Unified School District has listed their primary outcome for this project as, and I'm quoting, teens trained to be messengers to family members, unquote. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Pretty bad.
Now listen, you can say let's just take this out of this president. Let's make the current president George W. Bush. If you would be for it with George W. Bush, then you better go check yourself before you wreck yourself. You better go back and rethink your whole life.
Moratorium on that,
right?
As well.
If you are, I just say it because I got the Constitution Quest, and we're like, kids, we're going to have fun. And you don't like it, you check yourself before you wreck yourself. Oh, dear God, just make it stop, please.
Can the Supreme Court ban that?
Right. So, if you would support all the things that are happening. If this was happening to the left, well, then I don't stand with you. And if you happen to be listening, and if I change the current president with everything that is going on to Dick Cheney as opposed to this guy, and you would be like, that's an outrage. I would definitely, but he is cool. Then I don't stand with you either. But if you understand that man never changes, men can, man doesn't. And there's a difference. The collective will always find a slave. They will always find an excuse. They will always find someone to blame it on, to pin it on, someone to hate. Always. It's just the names, the faces, the skin color, everything else just changes. That's why the framework of those fundamental Bill of Civil Rights exist. Because the founders said, look, out of control governments always do these things. They always do these things. And when you see them start to do these things, you have a responsibility to stand or shirk off the chains of that government because it's going dark. We have a very short period of time. We must keep our hearts open to love and service and charity so we see each other. That's why Mercury One I've been asking you to help us. It's not because, all of a sudden I see myself as somebody who's like, I'm going to be the first responder at tornadoes. I've never been to a tornado. I don't know my butt from my elbow on this stuff. But you've got to feel. And you have to help your children feel because nothing in this society is real anymore. You have to feel. And you have to help your children see the plight of others as their plight. Because if we flip that switch and it goes off, we lose. And we, as a country, my gosh, you don't have somebody, if you have some spare time, war game what this country is like with a real dictator at top, with all of the trappings and all of the systems that we have. Dear God Almighty, we will be the worst country to ever be on the face of the earth. I don't care who leads it. Say it's Dick Cheney that leads it if you want to. We will be the most terrifying group of people to ever walk the earth. I refuse to have my name on that. I refuse. I will go. I am going to the pearly gates with a Star of David or a little sticky happy face or something saying, yep, when that was going on, you stood up. You've got to stand up and keep your heart open to love because things are changing and they're changing quickly.